Today I wanted to discuss some recent news by two of the larger investment banks in the world, and that is HSBC and Deutsche Bank. So I wanted to start out with Deutsche Bank. I understand that on Friday their two co-CEOs stepped down, and they were replaced by a new single CEO, and so the stock price rose a few dollars because of the news. And then, interestingly, perhaps maybe not surprisingly, but interestingly, now it's fallen again. It's kind of lost some of its gains that it gained whenever the new CEO was announced. So this is something that is not too terribly surprising. It kind of reminds me of like in politics, whenever there's a new president in the White House, they have a couple months of kind of a honeymoon period, and then after a few months, some news comes out. There's some bad publicity, some bad press. People find something to that they find unfavorable about the president, and then the kind of the honeymoon period wears off. And some people argue that with each successive president, the honeymoon period is shorter, but I don't know. I haven't done any research on it, but it could be true. But anyway, back to investment banking. That was one move by Deutsche Bank. I understand that they've cut jobs to try to. Their challenges are similar to that of HSBC. They're trying to meet new regulatory challenges, and they're also dealing with lawsuits and then reducing costs and overhead. And so that's something that seems to be kind of a universal theme throughout the investment banking industry. And then with HSBC, they are also facing numerous regulatory challenges, and then they also have intense pressure to reduce costs and in turn return more money to shareholders. I think that HSBC had a period of increased dividends every year from 1991 to 2008, so that's a very impressive dividend increase. Kind of reminds me of General Electric. They also had a very, very long period of steady dividend increases until the financial crisis, so that's something that investors definitely appreciate. So along with that, I guess HSBC, they also have retail operations, and so they're trying to kind of separate their investment banking and their retail banking divisions, and then put more safeguards in between them by 2019, when I guess there's some provisions of a new law regarding the banking sector, financial sector, take place in Great Britain. And it's interesting because they're already discussing whether they should move their headquarters. This is HSBC, whether they should move their headquarters to Hong Kong. They said that they're having a lot of trouble in some of the markets that have been faced with increased regulation. So Mexico, Turkey, Brazil, the United States, and Great Britain. They're not seeing much growth in those markets, and there's a lot of regulatory hurdles and challenges that they're facing there. So they're considering moving to Asia, moving to Hong Kong, where they can better serve the rapidly growing Chinese market, where they expect a lot of growth to take place over the next several years, possibly even decade. So that's very interesting. It does seem like, for some people, it's hard to imagine a major investment bank, some, firms as large as HSBC leaving London, where they have their current headquarters, but you have to, consider if costs, get too high and the regulations become too onerous, then, it's something they have to at least consider. So that's something very interesting. It's something to consider. Hong Kong, it's definitely a major financial hub, but not quite as big as London is. So I know that it's kind of a big battle. People like to debate whether London or New York is the biggest finance hub in the world, and I don't really know. I'm kind of neutral on that. They seem neck and neck to me, but either one is certainly great for any investment bank, private equity firm to be located in. So we will have to wait and see what happens with the new CEO of Deutsche Bank and what happens regarding the proposed relocation of HSBC's headquarters to Hong Kong. So stay tuned for more.